We're going to have a look at our scissors level 1 movement now. And this is an exercise that we use to check how well the stability around the spine and pelvis is going as we start to add in an open chain lever or a leg lift. So Tegan, your focus is on how you control the spine and pelvis here. Let's gently center. Great, and I'm here to feel to make sure whether Tegan's doing that correctly. Once I'm happy with both her neutral spine and her centering position, Tegan, I'll bring your hands on to feel the front of the pelvis there. Okay, I'm going to keep my hand here just for a moment. The first part of the exercise, we're going to start to bring this leg up in the air. Your focus is what's happening around this lumbar spine. Okay. All right, bring your hand on here to give you nice feedback, and I'm going to facilitate the leg. I want you to imagine there's like a line from your heel through to your buttock here, almost like a line in the sand, and you're going to slide and float that leg up. Okay, keeping that center. This time you breathe out, slide, 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 and float up to this tabletop position. Great. So this is tabletop, knee above hip, foot equal with the ankle. Now I'm guiding and facilitating this to take a little bit of the load so I can check that Tegan can handle this correctly first. Once I'm happy, we lower down. Now I start to take my hands away, keep that center, on your own now, breathe out, slide and float up to that tabletop, good. Breath in, hold, breathe out, lower. Good, now continue side to side for me. So now I need to take my hands off to make sure that Tegan can actually repeat this exercise at home and do it correctly. And her hands are giving her that facilitation. Now obviously Tegan's doing this quite nicely. What we normally see are two main watch points. We either see the pelvis tilt forwards like this, an extension dysfunction, or we see the pelvic tilt down to the side like this, a rotary dysfunction. If we show you that now, take this hand away, okay, keeping your center. If we do it incorrectly now, as you float up, we see these pelvis move forwards, okay, into extension. So that's an extension movement in the lumbar spine, or an extension dysfunction. And that tells me that there's a weakness or a dysfunction in the local muscle system, and we looked at that in the theory earlier on in the course. The second dysfunction I see is if the pelvis tilts the other way. So if we're trying to keep that center, but as our client comes up, we see the pelvis drop down, and this is really common. We see this all the time. That's a rotary imbalance or a frontal plane movement. And that tells me also what's happening. We have this local muscle system dysfunction, but we may also have some weakness into posterior glute med on the opposite side. That's the muscle that's controlling the pelvis. So just by doing the exercise, I start to be able to diagnose what's happening. Is it an extension instability, a rotary instability? What muscles are dysfunctional as a result of that? And so knowing the theory and knowing how to assess using the Pilates movements makes the program what it is, a continual assessment where you start to be able to understand all the muscle system dysfunctions through the teaching of the exercises.